Rev up your engines!
Kaizen says, how much oil changes in your area? Suppose a Toyota Camry 4-cylinder synthetic oil needs a change. How much should they charge? They're between $80 and $100 in LA. I remember when it used to be 20. All right. Well, you know, it's radically dependent on the area you live in and stuff. There are all kinds of costs associated. California is all the eco stuff, so I'm sure they have to pay an oil disposable fee. You're going to pay that when you get your oil changed at some place. But people will get away with whatever they can get away with. And here's the other problem is, this is why I teach people how to change their oil themselves and do that kind of stuff themselves. Because numero uno, there are cheaper oil change places, but you're getting cheap oil and cheap oil filters. And I know a guy ran one in Houston. He paid 50 cents a piece for the cheap oil filters, where they're not going to filter as well, right? And if you got his cheap oil change, he had a $20 oil change even a few years ago, right? But he was using bulk oil that he bought for 50 cents a quart. He was using cheap oil, cheap filters. You're better off buying quality oil and quality filters yourself and doing it at home. Amazon sells everything you could possibly need. They can deliver it to your house. You don't even have to go anywhere. And then when you're done, you just put the oil back in a container and take it to an auto parts store. They all recycle them free. Hey, why not go that route? You're going to pay if you have somebody else do it. Plus, the thing is, a lot of those oil change places, man, they just have minimum wage flunkies. They know what they're doing. I've had over the years, people bring their car to me, I'm leaking oil. Like they cross-threaded your oil drain pan, and it's not fixable because it's aluminum. Going to have to put in an oil pan. It's going to cost you $800. They can ruin things like that. So you don't want to have flunkies working on your car. Learn how to do it yourself. You pay somebody, who knows? The guy owns the shop. He's got to make money. He's got to pay the kid that's doing the work. But of course, he wants to make a lot of money, so generally he pays those guys close to minimum wage. What kind of a job are they going to do? Well, and it goes on and on and on. So I tell people to do it themselves. MC354 says, I got 2015 Honda CR-V. The CMB light is on, and they tell me I need a $1,000 camera replacement. The crash mitigation braking system light is on. The dealer said I have to replace the $1,000 camera. Do I have to replace it, or are they just guessing? Well, I don't know. I'd have to look at it. You know, I'm assuming they must know what they're doing, especially when it comes to crash mitigation systems. They don't fix that, right? You could sue them, right? That's the problem with all those systems. When they break and they're out of warranty, and yours is 8 years old, it's out of warranty, they cost a fortune to repair. People don't comprehend that. Even some modern cars, if your windshield gets shattered and you got to get it replaced, a lot of them have sensors in it. Sometimes it'll cost you close to $1,000 to replace the windshield. Then it has to be reprogrammed to fit to the car, just like yours would have to be reprogrammed if they replace that camera. Very few people have the equipment to reprogram them. These are extremely expensive systems that cost a fortune to replace. If you wish to keep yours going, you're just going to have to spend that kind of money because there's very few people who are willing to work on them, and there's even less that have the actual equipment that can put it in, reprogram it, and then drive through all these ridiculous QR scanning machines to set it all. It has to be set by an actual person driving the car, resetting it. It's a very complex process. It's going to cost people a fortune. It's also going to raise our insurance premiums because if you got full coverage, insurance is going to have to pay for all that stuff, and then you, as the person buying the insurance, eventually will end up paying for it anyways in your premium. Mick says, why does my car keep turning off? I got 08 Nissan Sentra automatic. It stalls, vibrates when I take my foot off the gas when I'm parked or backing up. I tried your video on cleaning the throttle body, intake, air control valve, but it didn't help. Pray. You got a vacuum leak. If somewhere in your intake system there's air sucking in, it'll make it stall when it does that. Pray it's that. Pray you can find a loose vacuum. Change the PCV valve. It's part of the vacuum system. If it's bad, it'll suck too much air. Pray it's simple stuff like that. Because if not, their transmissions suck. You got an automatic transmission, and when they go bad, that's exactly what happens. When you're in park or reverse, you slow down, it makes the car stall because it's straining the engine too much. So pray it's the other things. They're simple or easy to fix. Pray it's not the transmission going out. It could very well be the transmission starting to go out. Car Lover 1986 says, what do you think of a 2022 Nissan Versa? I recently sold my 2011 Kia Soul with 100,000 miles to a friend. Now my Nissan Altima still runs good. It's 18 years old. Now I'm thinking about buying a Nissan Versa, a new one with a 1.6 liter. What do you think? Don't. See, unfortunately, you have an incorrect good experience with Nissan. You got an Altima that's 18 years old that's running good. Back 18 years ago, they still made decent vehicles, Nissan. Renault bought them and drove them into the ground, turned it into a garbage company. Look at all the problem they had with that Gosen guy who was running it, and then he ran away from Japan and is hiding in the Near East somewhere, Lebanon, I believe. I mean, the whole thing is a disaster on wheels. Do not buy a new Nissan Versa. They are cheap, junky little puddle jumpers. It will not last 18 years like your old Nissan. You're better off fixing up your Nissan driving it than you are. Said it still runs good than you are buying a new Versa. They're little piles of junk. They're terrible vehicles. Yeah, they cost a little bit less, but they're not worth it. Get yourself a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic, and if they cost too much, get a good used one. Do not buy that new Versa. You just used to old Nissans that were well made. The new ones are not, and they haven't been for quite some time. Sunday Ram says, I got a 2015 Honda Fit. I can't reset my TPMS light. All tires at 33 PSI. I reset it, it comes back on. That's why I hate those tire pressure monitoring systems. They're a simple idea, but in reality, they're relatively complex because they're all run by computers and they're run wirelessly. You can't have wires going to the wheels to see if there's air pressure because the wires would rip the shreds as the tire spun, right? So it's done wirelessly. And how is it done? Each wheel has a sensor that's in your tire valve stem assembly that has a battery in it. Guess what? The batteries go bad. They're not replaceable batteries. You got to replace the whole assembly. Then they send a wireless signal to a computer module in your car. And that decides what's the pressure and to warn you when the pressure gets too high or too low. The good ones even tell you the temperature of the tire in case maybe you got a bad tread and it's overheating. Then you can look at it, oh, it's getting hot, it's falling apart. I'll buy another one even though it's full of air. It's getting too hot. But those are all computer-run systems. To analyze them, you have to have a TPMS sensor machine. Of course, I've got dozens of them. People are already sending me. I try them out. Some of them work great, some of them work crappy. But they all cost a reasonable amount of money. You'd have to have somebody hook it up to your machine, analyze it, and then, of course, you got to have a guy who's got a tire machine, because to change it, you have to take the tire apart, pull the old valve stem assembly, put a new one in, put the tire back together, rebalance the tire. So you need a tire changing machine, a tire balancing machine, and only big shops have that stuff. So you're going to pay through the nose when those systems break. That's why I don't like them. I check the tire pressure myself, and it's really works out quite well. California authorities on June 2nd let GM run their robo-taxi cruise thing with the self-driving taxis, right? June 2nd. Unfortunately, one of them got in an accident and they had to shut them down. Now, of course, GM said, well, it wasn't the robo-taxi's fault. It was the other person's fault, right? Now, here's the thing, and I've been saying this for years. The truth is, you can't have autonomous self-driving vehicles drive on the same road as human beings. Human beings are too unpredictable, and the robo-taxis are too stupid to be able to comprehend the crazy amount of things that human beings are going to do. They said, oh, well, the robo-taxi had a choice of running into this or that, so it ran into that. Well, maybe the choice was not to run into anything at all, right? And here's a hilarious thing. This happened on June 3rd. As of the filming of this video, it is September 6th. They waited that long to tell us what had happened. They try to hide this crap forever. I mean, it's a good thing that there's some reporters out there getting this information out. Otherwise, we'd never know at all. They'd sweep it under the rug. So, hilarious enough, the day after they were allowed to do this robo-testing, one of them gets in a wreck and had to recall them all. And supposedly it's a software problem. It's always a software problem with these people, right? It's always a software problem. Yeah, well, they're going to go on forever, and software is never perfect. And here is their BS legalese explanation. The software may, in certain circumstances, when making an unprotected left, cause the ADS to incorrectly predict another vehicle's path or be insufficiently reactive to the sudden path change of a road user. Yeah, in other words, like I said, you can't have people and machines driving on the same road. People are too unpredictable and the machines are too stupid to react fast enough. You can't put them together. Hey, what are they going to build separate roads for autonomous stuff? Where's that money come from? They can barely fix the roads that we have today. They're going to build a whole new infrastructure? I don't think so. You know, that's as dumb as boring tunnels. That'll save all the problems. It would cost trillions of dollars to build tunnels under everything, right? I mean, come on now. What stupid ideas people come out with. And they won't admit that, hey, you can't have people and machines driving on the same roads. Well, let me tell you, you can't. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.